Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have our guests from True North Paranormal, all the way from Canada, John and Karina. And once again, this is two shows in a row. I forgot to ask my guests how to pronounce their last names. Kozuska, how do you pronounce your guys' last names?
It's Kozuska.
Kozuska. I'm going to butcher that all night. John and Karina, am I saying your first name right? I'm the butcher.
Totally fine. Yeah, that works.
I'm the butcher of names. They're with us now tonight on Google Hangouts, so we will have both Skype lines open. Maybe not the video Skype line. Jeff's settings got all totally reset. But we will have the phone line and the one audio-only Skype line available. But yes, True North Paranormal, all the way from Canada. We're going to talk about their experiences in the paranormal as investigators and about their show they have on YouTube, and I think they're going to have a show on TV, True North Paranormal. Check it out on YouTube. Really interesting guests. We're going to talk about their methods for investigating the paranormal, and we'll take phone calls later into the show. And, of course, what we do every Sunday night is World Wide Web of Weird, so we'll have that with you in just a sec. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get to our guest. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup, and as I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight, our guest, let me get our share screen up here so we can see him. It's been a while. We've had a lot of guests by phone lately. It's nice to have some guests by video. How you guys doing tonight? Doing great. For people listening on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network, we are a webcast straight out to our Facebook page, Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. So if you want to see what these guys look like, you can come on over on that end, or you can just listen back. And people on Facebook, we do play music on the show you do not hear on Facebook because of copyright law. I don't want to get booted from Facebook. All right, John, Karina, with us in the panel tonight is my lovely co-host, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me tonight. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Jeffrey Chan is our video engineer. He had to last minute get all of his stuff reset. Love how computers in Windows 10 like to reset all your sound settings. So Jeff's been diligently working on getting that fixed. We should be good to go for the World Wide Web Weird. And of course, from St. Augustine, Florida, we have Rob Archery. How you doing tonight, Rob?
Good, man. Glad to be here. Yeah, man. Technical issues.
Technical issues. Ugh. Oh. Well, all right. Let's go ahead and roll into our World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, this is something I mentioned briefly last Sunday because the article had just come out, so I didn't have time to get in the World Wide Web of Weird. But this comes from the Daily Wire. Skier goes missing in New York, found a week later, 2,900 miles away in California, confused and still wearing helmet and goggles. All right, for people listening on Late Night in the Midlands, we do share videos and show pictures and the like. If you want to come on over and check it out there, you can, or just stay and listen. If you want to check it out later, we do try to post the World Wide Web of Weird, not always, but I try to post it on our Facebook page, Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. You can go check it out. You sometimes put an edited version, or just go watch the show again. Why not? Reruns. But this first one is, let me get the, we got to get on our video engineer, Jeff, here. First one is skier missing in New York, found a week later, 2,900 miles away in California, confused and still wearing helmet and goggles. Konstantinos Philippidis, I'm totally butchering that, sorry buddy, 49, went on a ski trip with his buddies from Toronto, crossing into the U.S. To ski at Whiteface Mountain in upstate New York. On Wednesday last week, Philippidis, known as Danny, we'll go with Danny, told his pals he was going to squeeze in one more run and headed out to the slopes alone. That's never a good idea. I would never go. I mean, I understand like being alone out on the ski slope, but man, I'm too paranoid for that. Nobody will ever find your frozen body. That's what I think. All right, so then he vanished. Authorities conducted a massive search for the mountain for Danny. Hundreds of volunteers spent 7,000 hours combined combing each inch of the ski resort. Helicopters and rescue dogs were deployed. The Department of Homeland Security, New York State Police, New York Department of Conservation, and United States Customs and Border Protection, and officials in Toronto all helped in the search. On Tuesday, 6 days later, he was found 2,900 miles away in Sacramento, California. He was confused in a state, still wearing his ski helmet and goggles. So he's wearing that for 6 days. No one knows how he got there. He had left behind his car, his passport, so authorities say he likely didn't fly. It was actually Danny who contacted police in Sacramento, officials said. And they say he's in fine health. Danny, a father of two and a 28-year veteran firefighter, was found alone, confused, and unable to answer questions of how he got to California. On Wednesday, authorities in Sacramento released new information about the odd case. NBC5 reported. Sacramento County Sheriff's Department said Danny was found alone on Tuesday near a rental car terminal at Sacramento Airport. He told investigators he didn't know what day it was. He told deputies he hit his head or experienced some sort of head trauma. Danny said he caught a ride from Wilmington, New York to Sacramento on a big rig. He said he was sleeping for almost 2,900 miles, 4 hours trip to California. Philippus told investigators he was traveling with a credit card and about $1,000 in cash. So I mentioned it last week. This guy went missing. Well, it sounds like he just got knocked on the head and was confused. Slight amnesia.
He wasn't so confused. He forgot these details. And let me also say, that's enough time you could drive across, one coast to the other.
6 days.
I think if he's married, he's got some splaining to do at home.
Well, he might have had some head trauma. I mean, he was still wearing the outfit.
I don't buy it.
Or did he have some fun? Do you think he'd go to Vegas?
When he ran off.
You think he'd go to Vegas? All right, let's move on.
Hey.
All right, number 2. This comes from metro.co.uk. A woman climbs into X-ray machine because she didn't want to leave her bag. I'm a big one. I don't like let my luggage go out of my sight too. But no, this is a little too far. This is the moment a passenger climbed in an X-ray machine because she did not trust trained security staff with her handbag. Oh, this was a train, too. An unbelievable photograph shows the woman on all fours on a conveyor belt as she follows her bag as it passes through security scanners. It's thought the woman did not want to be separated from her bag and its contents as Duggan Railway Station in China, southern Guangdong province. I probably butchered that. And while it's unclear what she was carrying in her handbag, it's likely to have been a wad of cash traditionally given as a gift for Chinese New Year. The woman had happily put her suitcase through the machine before walking through the security checkpoint holding a smaller handbag. But security staff told her this bag would also have to be checked, and so she reluctantly wheeled back around and placed it on the conveyor belt. But officers were stunned when she started to climb on herself and were left speechless, so they did not stop her as she collected her bags and rushed to get her on the train. Duggan Railway Station staff have advised passengers not to ride the X-ray machine, saying radiation given off by the scanners can be harmful. That's what I was thinking. Like, dang, man, she took some gamma rays or something. I don't know. It doesn't look healthy.
They just wanted to see her contents, that's all.
Oh, they got it. They got to see her contacts. Man, that cannot be healthy. That cannot be healthy. All right, let's move on here. All right, number 3. This is going to have some audio. Imagine you're going to take a flight, an 8-hour flight, and there's a screaming kid. You're like, oh, just don't let this kid scream for 8 hours. Well, this kid did. He's like running around the plane doing what he wants.
Can you come over here?
8 hours of this. Climbing on top of the chairs.
That's when a roll of duct tape goes a long way.
This was a flight from Germany to New Jersey. Okay, Jeff, that's enough. I can't even take it, and I have kids. This is a passengers documented his nightmarish flight after a demonic child. They listed demonic child screamed for an entire 8-hour trip. The footage shows the 3-year-old climbing over seats and screaming before the flight from Germany to New York had even taken off. The video was uploaded to YouTube by Shane Townley, who wrote, "Watch as this kid runs and screams throughout the entire flight while the mother does little to nothing to stop him. The 3-year-old on an 8-hour flight from Germany to Newark, New Jersey, he never quits." Now, most people could understand that being in a plane might be stressful for a young child and could take him a while to settle down. But eventually it became clear, whoops, my article just went nuts. Hold on. Eventually it became clear to passengers that this kid wasn't going to be happy sitting down and watching a movie as he continued to rampage for nearly the whole trip. It's unclear from the video whether his behavioral issues had indication that the mom informed other passengers that he was suffering from any condition. So she didn't say, like, oh, he has so-and-so or whatever problem. At one point, the child is seen sitting on top of the seats and banging on the ceiling as the plane's mom tries to get him to sit down. Throughout the hourly update, passengers can be seen covering their ears as the child continues to scream at the top of his lungs. It goes on. Like, this video is just hour 3, hour 4. And at the end of the video, you see these people getting off the plane, and they all look like 8 hours of this. One of them makes a camera.
They need to play that in the sex ed classes in high school.
Right, exactly. Put a condom on, people. This poor mom. I feel bad as a parent. You know, everybody's like, oh, discipline the child, slap the child, man. When a kid wants to go on a nuclear rant, you can scream in their face, and it's not going to do any good. They're going to keep screaming. Now, 8 hours, I don't know. There's
they know they got you, and when they know they got you,
yeah, like I got you for everything. But I would have taken that kid to the bathroom and swatted his ass. I'm sorry. Oh, don't spank. It's child abuse. No, it's saving his life. It's saving his life. Okay, so somebody else does something much worse, because 8 hours, oh my God. And you can imagine everybody was thinking of the scene in Airplane, which I love that movie, where the whole group of passengers line up and take turns slapping a woman. Well, they were probably all thinking about doing that to the mom or the kid. You know it. All right, let's move on. Of course, everything in my on my tablet here just went nuts on me, man. Of course, technical problems tonight. All right, moving on. Let's go.
Cases like that, drugs might not be a bad idea.
Right. You know, what was the good old days when you could just give your kid a Valium?
Yeah, really.
Right. All right, we talked about this on at least a month ago, maybe, on the World Wide Web of Weird. I played a video of this kid talking about that he's a time traveler. Well, now he's taking a lie detector test. I'm not going to bother to play the video of him answering these questions and it going true on the screen, like, oh yeah, that's a real lie detector test. Anyways, this comes from Unexplained Mysteries. Man who claims to have traveled back in time has made several predictions about the future. The anonymous individual who identifies himself only as Noah agreed to be interviewed in video that was apparently uploaded to the controversial Apex TV YouTube channel. Some of the claims about the future include AI will become extremely advanced but will choose to coexist with humans. Trump will be reelected in 2020. The President of the United States in 2030 will be someone called Alana Remicki. I probably butchered that name. Global warming will cause temperatures in the U.S. to increase and Europe to decrease. Humans will reach Mars and invent time travel by the year 2028. I will be alive for that. Awesome. Hopefully. While answering questions during the interview, Noah was allegedly hooked up to a lie detector test, which, according to the channel, consistently determined that he was telling the truth. Critics, however, argued, and I'm one, that the lie detector test isn't even visible in the frame, and that even if his answers were reading as true, he may have simply found a way to fool the machine. And I know you can fool a lie detector test. It is very possible to do, especially if it's something you emotionally don't give a crap about. I don't really care that I'm lying to you about me being a time travel. I think it's fun. When people don't pass lie detector tests is when they're under stress. I'd have to pass this lie detector test. This kid's got nothing to lose.
Really believe it.
I honestly did. He
really believe it.
He's moving during the lie detector test. I've had to have a lie detector test. You can't move. You're not supposed to move. You watch the video. Watch him. He moves. If he was having a legitimate person giving him that test, they'd tell him you have to stop moving. So that's why I call shenanigans. Not real. Okay. Let's move on. All right. This one is a little hauntedness. This is from SiberianTimes.com. If my article is, police seek help from a church on poltergeist case in a remote corner of Tomsk region. I'm probably butchering that. Priests had to be called to a private house in a small village some 331 kilometers northwest of the regional capital of Tomsk. Earlier this week, police officers inspected the house following a call about weird things like flying knives from the property owners. A married couple and their 15-year-old adopted son claimed pieces of furniture were collapsing inside the house. Chairs were reportedly flying. When law enforcement team arrived, they found the house in a mess with belongings thrown all around it and a knife stuck in a wall. Police officers claimed to have felt the power of something that they could not explain rationally while they'd been inside the house, because apparently a cupboard fell next to one of them. A stick flew out of an empty room, and books fell off a shelf. Officers filed a report describing what happened and went to a local church to ask for help. A priest was sent to the scene carrying a blessing ritual, which is supposed to calm evil spirits. The Church of Kozuska, I'm going to butcher this, so I'm not going to try. This guy from the church made a statement explaining their involvement. The police report consistently and accurately reflects on what really happened in the house. Yesterday, we received phone calls from police and family living in the home. Said Siberia. I cannot pronounce Siberian words, obviously. There's a lot. A priest was sent to talk to family and pray. He also witnessed all the things described in the report. They decided to curate this family and pull the effort not too long as such things happen. Well, this is written really bad. Didn't have an ending to the article. Did they stay or move out? I always love those tales from across the world, but especially ones when the police are involved and called, because they're pretty skeptical people usually. They're not going to just say, oh, yeah, your house is haunted. they'll say that and it'll be like jokingly, you know. So I like those kind of stories. All right, and then these are the ones I don't like, but I still torture myself with. This is from Reuters, so I'm going to try to get through this quick. U.S. woman found with eye worm previously only known in cattle. New York Reuters. An Oregon woman has become the first person worldwide known to have an eye infestation by tiny worm species previously seen only in cattle that spread like flies that feed on eye lubrication. U.S. government researchers said on Monday. U.S. Center of Disease Control and Prevention scientists said 14 translucent parasitic worms of species, all less than a half an inch long, were extracted from the 26-year-old woman's eye over a 20-day period before symptoms dissipated. The species Thalielisa worm, yeah, you know I'm butchering that, was previously seen in cattle throughout northern United States and southern Canada, researchers reported in a study published in the American Journal. Man, screw that. 20 days of having these little worms. Just tell me I have worms in my eyes. I'm going to lose my freaking mind. You know, this poor woman, I would never go outside again. She likes to hike, and she was out in the wilderness, and that's where they say she got this. I would never hike again. Oh, my God. No way. I have a thing about my eyes, and I can't even get an eye test or put eye drops in my eyes. Oh, I couldn't imagine. I'd be losing my freaking mind. And one other thing, last thing, the World Wide Web of Weird, some people like my wife would lose her mind over, and if she's watching, I would tell you to turn away, Susan, we're still trying to watch this movie. I'm still not seeing the new version of it. But somebody was cosplaying out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was a huge I cannot talk. This is from KRQE.com. It was a huge horror movie hit. Now the video of a scary clown in Albuquerque is becoming a hit. It has lots of people wanting to know the story behind it. Go ahead and play the audio. So this guy was walking around in a park because he was waiting for a photographer to come because he was doing a cosplay, and he decided to walk around and start freaking people out. Like cops were called, I understand people getting the cosplay, and this guy did an excellent job, but your life is in danger because you're going to meet somebody who has an absolute fear of clowns and also has a license to carry a gun. and you're gone. You are a dead clown. I'm just saying. Not a good idea. I know my wife, if she had a gun on her and she ran into this, that'd be a dead clown. Dead clown. Dead clown. That's all I'm saying. So for all those clowns out there, I mean, I feel bad. Clowns get such a bad rap because of horror movies like It. I still love It. But people have a legitimate fear of clowns, man. You would freak somebody out. All right, that's it for...
dead clown is a dead clown.
Yep. All right, that's it for the World Wide Web of Weird tonight. Sorry, ran a little over. Sorry about that, John and Karina. But we want to get to you guys here after the commercial break. We'll talk to them, and we will take phone calls into the show after the second commercial break. This is the first. I wanted to mention, too, a former guest of the show was on last year, William Whitecrow, passed away, I believe today it was, or last night. So we're really saddened by that news. I was hoping to one day get him back on. We actually had technical difficulties when he was on, it was an honor to have him on the show and get to know him as best as we have. I wish I could have got to know him better. He was a really interesting guest, and I think he had a lot of wisdom to share with the world, and I think that wisdom should live on. All right, guys, you will hear some silence on Facebook because we play music on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Go check us out there. Go donate and subscribe to Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. We need your help to keep the radio network going. All right, guys, we'll be back with you in just a few minutes.
Late Night in the Midlands covers everything, and through the thousands of expert guests who have joined Michael Vera on his show, come pieces of the big puzzle, which started many years ago. Michael and his guest reveal information dating back to the beginning of time. To this very moment, Michael Vera not only brings you the best guests with the best information, but Michael is not afraid to call out those who are less than honest. You see, in this day and age, we need a radio show we can count on and a radio host we can trust to expose the truth one show at a time. So become a late nighter and subscribe now. Talk radio like no other. Late Night in the Midlands, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
You can listen to the LNM Radio Network 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through the Paranormal Radio app. Available from lnmradionetwork.com or TalkStreamLive.com on both Android and Apple. Our call to listen line is open 24/7. Dial 701-719-9704 so you can listen on the go.
The Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network is deeply devoted to you, the listener. We feel it is necessary to bring you all of the information that you can use in your life. Each and every day you will find something to listen to here. And whether you come away from the shows informed, inspired, or entertained, it is our passion. We don't bow to corporations, and we don't have handlers to tell us what not to talk about. We bring you everything. Late Night in the Midlands, however, is fully listener supported. We need your help to stay on the air and to make sure that we get the bills paid. We need your help to keep the truth alive. If you feel that you have gotten anything out of Late Night in the Midlands, we would appreciate your support. You can become a subscriber and help us out on a monthly basis, or if you'd like, a one-time donation is fully appreciated as well. Every year, the average household in America spends over $3,000 on entertainment alone. If you could help us with just a tiny fraction of that amount, you would make all of the difference. Go to latenightinthemidlands.com and click on the subscribe button. Thank you, and as always, keep yourself informed.
All right, tonight we have John and Karina from True North Paranormal, all the way from Canada. I am not going to try to butcher your guys' name right now because I totally would butcher it again. But we're going to have them on tonight talking about their experiences in the paranormal, their investigating techniques, the things they've witnessed. And you guys will be able to call on the show after the second commercial break. And tonight, guys, looking forward to having you on. So let's go ahead and get to the interview. How you doing tonight, guys?
Good.
Good, man.
How are you?
Doing good. Glad to have you guys on. Got a little... We were lagging there for a second. Doing good. Don't know technical problems tonight. I hope not.
No.
Looks like we have some lag, yeah.
Yeah. We were doing good the whole time until now.
Huh.
Maybe it's our fault. I know it's been cold up here and snowy, so...
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Oh, no.
All right. So we'll tell the audience a little bit about yourselves, you know, how you got involved in the paranormal, and let them know who you are.
All right. Well, I'd say for myself, I was always a fan of the paranormal from the time I was a little kid. I know I was always that one kid that was always trying to find the evidence. You know, every school's got their ghost, you know, in elementary school. And I was always that kid that was like, okay, I believe it, but I want to see it. So I was always running around looking for stuff like that, you know, trying to find the evidence of it. So, you know, that was kind of my turning point, you know. And then, you know, there's some experiences that happened too, you know. My grandfather passed away in '88. And I swore to God, a couple days, walk through the kitchen and go into the bathroom. And I was hooked right from there.
Weird.
How old were you when you saw him?
How old was I at the time?
Yeah.
Okay. I would be about, what, 9? No, 8. 8.
Yeah, it's when you see your first ghost. I was hooked from the age of 4, from my earliest memories. I say it scars you when you have these experiences as a child. It opens you up to the idea that anything's possible.
Yeah.
So
man.
For Karina, how did you get involved in the paranormal?
I always liked the scary. From a young child, I loved horror movies. My mom and dad let me watch horror movies. They took me to see horror movies. I liked to scare myself. I used to make tapes of scary noises, and I don't know, I was always into the paranormal. If it couldn't be explained, I wanted to know about it.
So what was your favorite scary movie?
Yeah.
What was your favorite scary movie
Just
then?
from my age,
We're getting lag, dang it.
I'm hearing weird sounds.
Yeah. Are you guys hearing us?
Yeah. Are you totally fine?
Uh-oh.
Does our sound okay?
Yeah, it seems like we're lagging. Like are you hearing me now?
Oh, yeah.
We hear.
Uh-oh.
Pretty good.
Yeah, you're lagging though. Darn it. We tested this out like a few weeks ago. We're going to have him on, and we were fine before the show. But now it's lagging. It's really weird. Hopefully it levels out. If not, we might have to switch over to a phone line, at least by the second commercial break. We might have to try that if we can't get it working. I was asking, if you hear me now, what was your favorite scary movie as a kid?
The Amityville Horror.
The original.
I'm still obsessed with the house.
Really? Have you got to go there?
No, I would love to.
I know. I don't think the public gets to go there anymore at all. They can drive by and go, "Oh, that's the house. It's been changed." But
I think it's for sale.
Yeah. Actually, I think I've had that in the World Wide Web of Weird mentioned. I don't know if anybody ever bought it. At least probably 6-7 months ago, I think I mentioned that it was up for sale again.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to buy it.
Yeah, no kidding. It's on the market. There you go. He's like, no, I'm not going to live there.
No, Lorena, I'm not doing it.
So how did you guys come together and start decide to do the paranormal together?
We started talking about a haunted location here that I like to visit all the time, and John started talking about what he wanted to visit, and we started talking about all the weird things that we liked.
Yeah, the ghost was kind of our icebreaker. The band at the time, and I was way too chicken to even say hi to her.
We got a little break up there too, but I heard most of it. But hopefully, you guys have a phone that's handy that you could do by phone. I hate to say it, but you guys keep locking up or breaking up.
Yeah, we can get a phone. Go grab the phone.
You might want to get it ready because it's lagging. Oh, we had this running perfect. It was looking so good earlier.
Good to go, man.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna try this out. We'll have that phone ready. Okay. So we'll see. Sorry, audience. Sometimes this happens. People. Internet likes to go. Oh, I'm gonna data you out now and start lagging on you. I don't know. It could be my end. I don't know. But hopefully everything's working fine on the Facebook end. Anyways, so doing the paranormal together, you guys, me and my wife, that's for us. That's how, I knew she was the one for me because the first date we had, we started talking about weird stuff and, hauntings and paranormal. I'm like, oh, this is the girl for me. And so, of course, we got into investigating together, Is that kind of how it worked for you guys then, just getting together?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Once we got together, it was kind of, everything else didn't matter. We were like, oh, let's go check this out. Or, we discuss the infinite possibilities within the paranormal field, right?
Yeah.
Really in-depth conversations. So,
Yeah, we talked about all the places we wanted to go visit. And,
Centralia, Pennsylvania.
yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, I want to go there.
So what are some of the places you guys have gotten to go investigate?
I would say some of the more notable places, and we'll give you some of the ones that are known to be really haunted in Canada. This way they're easier to Google. The first one would be the Vernontown Theatre. So that's supposed to be one of the most haunted movie theaters in all of Canada. And we saw evidence of this.
Yeah, we caught some good stuff there.
That's one of them. I would say the Tecumloops Residential School is another one.
Oh, that was one of my favorites.
Residential schools up here were run by the Catholic Church back in the day, and it was an effort to purge the Native American culture out of the Native Americans or Native Canadians. So as a result, a lot of those children were scarred.
May I ask what made that one of your favorite places?
Because it was so creepy. It's an overused word, but just such heavy energy there. It was. And because of the nuns, it made it worse. Like, just imagine a creepy nun.
I know for me, what made it really hit home was the fact that we were dealing with these children who were so wronged. I actually wrote this big, long essay after. I don't know, I was compelled to write. But, part of what we want to do is help out. And we want to help these kids kind of get to that next level, right? So the human being in me was like, this was wrong. We need to go in here and find out. So for me, that's what kind of made it cool. We got a bunch of names. Unfortunately, the Canadian government destroyed all the records, so we can't verify, but we got names.
Well, that's awesome. That's the thing. When you get EVPs of children voices. We talk about this a lot on this show. It's heartbreaking. I love EVPs, and when I get them, I'm like, oh yeah, it's like fishing. You caught a big fish.
Yeah.
But when you get it and it's a little kid, there's a heartbreaking feeling to it. Like, is that really a little kid? I mean, I know some investigators. I don't know how you feel about it. They feel there's some people I've had on the show, and we have all different opinions. Nobody's an expert in this field. Some people they're all demons, and they're demons trying to trick you by sounding like children. And there's some investigators think some of it's that, some of it is really children. What's your guys' feel on that?
Sometimes it is hard to tell.
I like to believe there's a level of authenticity, especially in a place like that. You get these kids who were trapped there. And I believe these kids who were trapped there are the ones actually talking to you. One of the things, and I can talk about this, even though it's in an episode, I can kind of give you guys a bit of an example. We were in one room, and I was doing an EVP session, and I'm the guy that gets to go into the dark rooms. And I'm up there, and I couldn't hear anything. It sounded like Karina's team went and walked through the building, but they actually were outside. So when we went back to review the evidence of that particular segment, you could hear a bunch of children singing.
Ooh, that adds, the singing's an extra creepy to it. It's like an extra creepiness.
Yeah, it's, and that's where some of the names came through. A name like Henry came through. And just, it's, I don't know what changes you, man.
Yeah, I was not the same person after that.
Could you identify what song they were singing?
No, unfortunately, you couldn't really make it out. I know myself and our producer, Dean Trumley, really, really tried honing in. But there was just so much going on. It was almost, I'm trying to find the right word, almost an unaudible song.
Mm.
You knew they were singing because of the tones of their voices, but you couldn't make out what they were singing.
Mm.
And I think Jeff pulled up a screenshot of the place here. What was the name of the place again?
It's the Kamloops Residential School. That's actually it.
Yeah, we got a picture of it up here on our Facebook webcast right now. How old is this? Let's see, 1893 established?
Yeah.
Wow. Now, did you feel you weren't able to get any of the names? Was there anything you were able to verify with the spirits? Anybody that you got evidence of that you were like, yeah, this person was there and deceased?
Well, the trouble is, again, the government doesn't have those records anymore for us to really verify.
They do have archives, though, but there's so many to go through, and
There's nothing there.
There's nothing there?
No.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's awful. That's the worst.
I think you could go to the website, the Canadian government website, because there was a link to it, but it says, oh, page has been removed, or something like that.
Now, what kind of devices do you guys like to use on an investigation? Like, what were you guys using at this school?
For the bulk of it, I mean, we were trying to, because we were dealing with a large magnitude. I mean, one of my favorite things that I'll use would be the spirit box.
Yeah.
I do believe that multi-FM frequency sweep is going to actually allow you to hear things, and we've got some really positive hits with that. That school was just case in point. Obviously, when you look at your evidence, you want to make sure that the vocal level is completely different from what you or I would sound like. You want to make sure that the frequency is completely different. And yeah, that definitely came through. The Henry, for example, and the children singing was on a frequency different from what you or I would sound like.
Yeah.
Did that come through the box, the spirit box, when you got to singing?
No,
that
I was
EVP.
using that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
that was,
gotcha.
I was just exampling.
Yeah.
What
But
about the REM pods, too?
REM pods, yeah.
Yeah, we were playing with children. Like the spirits of these children were having one light up, and John's like, "Can you light that one up?" And they would light that one up. This was in the daycare part of it, and it was like amazing and creepy all at the same time.
Now, when you got the names, did you guys, if you got a name over the spirit box, did you start talking to that like a child, like you think it's a child, and say their name, or did you try to treat it like children when you first started?
Yeah, we definitely did, and that's the thing that I know. Again, we don't know what's on the other side officially. We don't know anything like that. We don't know how they're going to respond to us. So I try to look at them as people. They were people. They were children. So I talk to them as children. As a father, I know how to speak to my children. As an adult, you want to be able to reach out.
I love that. That's my approach to it too. As an investigator, is that you don't know what you're dealing with on the other side, so why be a dick? I mean, you don't know who you're talking to, so why do you have to be? Why don't you start out with respect? That sounds like a good idea, right? But you don't see that in a lot of TV shows and other investigators I've worked with, and it's like chill out. Treat them like you would treat a new person. Why are they going to want to talk to you when you're acting like a dick?
Exactly, yeah.
Come talk to me, bro.
You think it would be a common sense that you just want to, especially if you want them to talk back to you, to treat them with respect and be polite and like a human being.
Yeah, I always like to go like, my name's Jason. I would name out the people in the group. It's like, if you're going to talk to somebody, you introduce yourself too, And
Exactly.
I watched your YouTube, the YouTube channel, your episode that you have up there, and I noticed, the probe episode, and I noticed you you guys are very thorough. I really loved your approach, because you got very, most shows skip over it anymore. Like Ghost Hunters started it to do it in their first season, but you do the whole EMF sweep. You sit there and show each zone. You get really meticulous. I love that. It's only 20 minutes long each segment, but you show that we're really doing investigate. We're not just going in here. So many shows don't even show that anymore. They just show them doing their EVP sessions. They don't even show them doing an EMF sweep or checking out the place, showing people how it should be done.
No more baselining, how to baseline a property before going in and collecting whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know that's one thing Karina and I were both adamant on, especially after talking with our producer. We wanted to show people paranormal investigating. We wanted to show them fact, not fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even if there was not. Yeah.
No, go ahead, Karina.
Oh yeah, even though if there was nothing there, we still remember it. Our first probe there, there was nothing paranormal. There was all just EMF.
And that's what I loved about it.
That can happen.
But that's what I loved about that episode. You really showed, because that's so important. When I saw this, when I watched part 1 and part 2, I'm like, this is so important. Like, I would show this. I would definitely show this to any new investigators. I thought you guys did an excellent job. Like, this is how it's supposed to be done. And, you know, this is something more often than not you're going to run into than you run into something that's paranormal. I've had many that I had to, you know, I had one so bad that, you know, I gave two new, I had a group and I had two investigators go out and check out this house. Usually I do the walkthrough. I couldn't. And I get there and I go, oh, I wish I would have done the walkthrough. You could hear the buzzing as you were walking up to the house from the power line. It was actually coming from the power lines themselves. It was so bad. I mean, you know, we had to be like, you need to talk to your landlord. I'm not a medical expert, but I know you're not supposed to be living under this kind of high EMF. We were hitting, it went up to 153 milligauss at one point. Imagine that. Living in their bedroom, And I'm like, you know, that high levels, even if you're not sensitive to it, I think is going to affect you horribly, you know. But if you're sensitive to it, it make you see and feel things that are just not there. And I think that's what was happened to her. And she got out. Her landlord wasn't going to do a dang thing about it, which I'm like, well, he's breaking codes here. I can tell you that right now, because electricity was all awful everywhere in the house.
Yeah,
That's insane.
That's something we ran into actually in the very first probe there too. Same deal. We were well over 100 milligals when I just, you know what, there's just so much EMF in this house. I bet dollars to donuts. That's exactly what's going on. And the further, you know, I went into the house doing my sweep, the more EMF we found. And you know, after that, we did do a lot of research into high levels of EMF and the effects of people. And, you know, medical experts have their opinions that it could kill you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Over a long time.
Oh, yeah, the government has experimented with high electromagnetic fields on people and to see if they can, you know, disorient them or control them. And it's none of it sounds good at all.
We lived by one of those towers, and we had to sign a disclosure on our rental paper. And you could hear that thing humming all the time.
That's what it was like. It was like a hum. I'd never experienced that high of EMF before until I went to this house. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I had a medium friend come with me. He's like, oh, you should have never called me out to this house. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't do the walkthrough. He's like, well, it was Rick Bunch that's been on the show. He was like, why did you call me out here? I'm like, I am so sorry. I like this is one time I don't do the walkthrough, and the guys that did it, you know, they were excited. You know, they were like, yeah, he's got this investigation. She's saying all this stuff's going on, and you can't let that get ahead of you. Neither one of them thought to bring a gauze meter or a K2. I love the K2 meter just to get the first baseline. You know, because it lets you know where the weakest stuff is right away. That thing picks up everything. But, you know, when you live in that kind of fear cage, that's what they call it, you know, ghost hunters termed that. When you live in that kind of fear cage, man, you know, I would be worried about cancer for one. I would definitely think it caused cancer.
Yeah, who knows what that's doing to your brain in the long term. I mean, even if you get out of there, I mean, what's the actual long-term result?
Yeah,
I mean, what's it going to do to you 10 years down the road?
My other thought about it is, I don't know what you guys, one of the things I've theorized is does it attract spirits too, though? Like a moth to a flame. Can they feed off that energy? Because we've seen them manipulate. I know you might have had this experience I have where they manipulated electronics or drained batteries. You know, can they feed off of that energy? Because there's sometimes I've seen some correlations with high electromagnetic, natural, you know, caused by, you know, bad wiring. But there's real paranormal activity going on. EVPs.
You're lagged out, man.
You're lagging out.
Uh-oh. Yeah, and you're lagging out too. Shoot. That's the internet connection on your end, because Jamie's fine. She's not lagging on me.
Yeah. That's Storm, I'll bet you.
Yeah, it's probably messing with your internet lines.
Yeah.
It might mess with your phone lines, too, though. I don't know. Oh. Just winter weather has not been my friend this year. Well, what I was saying, am I still lagging?
Okay, now.
Okay. You hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. What I was saying is, though, there's some correlations, I think, between houses of high EMF and spirit activity still, that they feed off of it, like a moth to a flame, or they're attracted to it because of the way they've drained batteries and that. I had a house that all the electricity was completely shut off. You know, it had been abandoned for a couple years, and there was a spontaneous fires in this place, but they had double grounded it badly. And it took all the piping and made it into an electric field with even all the power shut off. I was getting 90 milligauss and up. No electricity in the place at all. Completely shut off.
Wow.
And like I said, I saw the evidence of not even from an electrical outlet, nowhere near an electrical outlet. Right on top of a counter, I saw the scorch marks where the last fire that happened, where they left all their belongings and got out of the house. And I've always wondered since that case, is it possible that these high electromagnetic fields, like this house was definitely wired badly, and it caused this. Does it attract spirits? Or fuel spirits? Because I think the house would have been haunted. It had plenty of history to definitely credit be haunted. There was people that died in a fire in that house. But you wonder, did they feed off of that electromagnetic energy?
Yeah, I wonder. That's a good theory.
You know what, man? I'd be inclined to actually agree with that theory. And as an investigator, you have seen batteries drain. We all have at some point.
Yeah.
It happened to us in the Vernon Town Theater, one of our notable cases. We watched a 100% battery drain to zero in less than 10 seconds.
Yeah, I've seen it myself.
Yeah, so I mean, and then we started, all hell kind of broke loose.
So it only makes sense that it would use that as...
Oh, now it lagged out. Dang it. Oh, they're lagging out.
I think they're going to drop any second.
Yeah, I do too. I think what we're going to do is I am going to have to switch them to phone. Because, yeah, they're lagging out. I think that's on them right now. I think that's why Rob got off, because he was afraid he might be causing it or something. I know Rob. Yeah, they lagged out. All right, this is what we're going to do, people. John, Karina, what we're going to try is, because we're lagging out, we're going to go to our second commercial break. And I'm going to give you my phone number on Messenger. Call me. And then just wait until after the commercial break, and I'll call on you. So I'm going to do that, guys. We're going to go to a commercial break. Don't usually go in a commercial break this early, but sometimes when you have technical problems, you got to do it. Hopefully their phone lines work. I'm sending in my phone number now. It happens sometimes. I was so excited to get somebody on Google Hangouts, but the internet's got to be good for it, and you never know when somebody's internet's going to totally go wonky on them. It happens. It happens. So, guys, I sent you the phone number. Just go ahead and call me. I'll answer it. You'll hear the show when you answer and all that. And when you hear me come back from commercial break, yeah, you can call me now.
Yeah, go ahead.
219.
Go ahead and mute yourself on this end, because I'm going to go ahead and go to commercial break. Sorry, audience, technical difficulties, but we're going to get them on the phone so we don't have any more interruptions. For people watching on Facebook, you're going to hear some quiet because we play music out on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Go check us out there if you need to listen. There's a phone line you can call in. We'll hear it during the commercial break. You can listen by phone. You can listen on TuneIn or TalkStream. Check it out there. When we come back, John and Karina, True North Paranormal from Canada. We're going to talk about their paranormal investigations. If you're a paranormal investigator, yeah, we're going to talk some tech tonight. I like talking about the theories of the paranormal. It's nice to relax and get back into my roots. All right, guys, we'll be right back with you in a few minutes.
Ben Franklin said, if you do the same thing tomorrow as you did today, you're going to get the same tomorrow as you got today. Changing the world starts with you, and changing you starts with changing the way you think. Late Night in the Midlands can help. Listen to all of our shows at latenightinthemidlands.com, because things really do need to change.
If you find yourself angry over the wealth gap and the way the financial system and banks are set up, or you find yourself looking for non-genetically modified foods because you refuse to consent to being a science experiment to big bio and big chem, or perhaps you have abandoned your trust in government and religion altogether, then you might be an RDS, a radical danger to society, otherwise known as a terrorist. Other possible terrorist activities include, but are not limited to, taking pictures, coughing, sneezing, wheezing, smiling, not bathing, listening to the secret teachings, asking questions to authorities, distrusting authority, owning a gun, reading history books, reading non-Keynesian economic books, listening to Late Night in the Midlands, turning off your television, going outside, water purification, having goosebumps, laughing, wearing jeans, purchasing ammunition, purchasing medical supplies, listening to Open Eyes Radio, purchasing bulk food, noticing geoengineering trails, refusing to pay back your student loans, informing others, breathing, listening to the Red Pill reality show, blinking, thinking, farting, choking, and sleeping. Other forms of terrorism include disassociation with all political parties, protesting, freely speaking your mind, freely expressing your opinions, and in some cases that are extremely severe, paying with cash, being concerned about food, water, vaccines, and believing that the medical industry and military run tests on unsuspecting citizens regardless of the evidence to prove its existence. If you don't want to be an RDS, a radical danger to society, then turn on your television, get a credit card, buy the 13th season of Honey Boo Boo on Blu-ray, get fast food for dinner, and stop purifying your water and looking for clean food, or you may be diagnosed with orthorexia nervosa too. For more ways to become an RDS, a radical danger to society, simply tune into the L&M Radio Network, now 24 hours a day.
You can listen to the L&M Radio Network 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through the Paranormal Radio app. Available from lnmradionetwork.com or TalkStreamLive.com on both Android and Apple. Our call to listen line is open 24/7. Dial 701-719-9704 so you can listen on the go.
Tonight, hopefully, we have John and Karina from True North Paranormal all the way up in Canada. We're talking about their paranormal investigations, their methods of investigating, the evidence they've gotten. You're going to be able to call on the show, but now we're down to one line to call on the show tonight because I don't think we should trust Jeff's end. He had to reset everything, so probably not the Soup Live chat ID. Just the Skype ID, audio only, is OOJBLAND00, or that's OOJBLAND00. That's a Skype ID. You can call into the show and ask them questions. All right, guys, let's get back to our guests. We still got him on video here. Let's see if we can hear him by the phone. Guys, hopefully you're still muted. Okay. All right. You there, John and Karina?
Yeah, we're right here, man.
Right here.
Turn you up. There we go. Hopefully the audience, I can hear you. Keep talking.
All right, cool.
Sure. Sounds good.
Yeah, everything good out there? I gotta say, man, some of those fillers are pretty damn fun.
Yeah, they're very entertaining.
Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. You guys are a little more tinny this time. I don't know, whatever the phone, if you can bring it maybe a little closer to you.
That better?
That's a little better, yeah.
All right.
But no lag. It's better than lag.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you can see it even in there. Yeah, that's kind of funny.
But we can see you. And now it's not. It doesn't look like it's lagging on that end, but it's like we dare tempt it to go back to Google Hangouts. It'll probably like lag on us.
I'm too scared, man. I don't want to.
Yeah, no. But hey, at least people can still see you. This works for now. So, anyways, talking tonight, we're talking about electromagnetic activity and how it relates to the paranormal. Anything else you found that indicates that electromagnetic energy is feeding the paranormal?
No, man. It's kind of like I say. I mean, the one thing about paranormal field is we're all about theories. You said it. I've said it 1,000 times. There's no such thing as an expert, and we're always learning. So to dismiss any theory is just ridiculous. A theory like that, I find very sound. I see logic in it. It's not something you can just dismiss without proof or validate without.
Like water. They say water is also a conduit for
paranormal activity.
Well, you get electromagnetic energy from water, like rivers and that give off. If you ever take an EMF meter up to some rivers, what the water contains, the flow of water is its own electromagnetic energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You definitely find houses that are next to bodies of water a lot of times are haunted. I mean, look at Amityville Horror. You know, that home right next to a body of water.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
Places
Ironically,
with
that
moving
resident.
water.
Or yeah,
Like
moving water,
the
yeah.
water mills and
yeah.
everything, or lots of granite.
Oh yeah, eh?
Yeah. No, that's true.
Never even thought of that.
So, what's some of the favorite evidence you guys have captured?
You know, my personal. Well, you know what, man? I actually swore the last one. I won't repeat it on air ever. But I would say that bottle flying at me, that was probably one of the craziest things that ever happened. You know, we've gotten some pretty cool pieces of evidence, things from EVPs to, you know, orb activity, you know, the usual things, but never until this last probe did I have an object thrown at me.
Yeah.
I'd say that's pretty compelling.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
Yeah, you believe it when something's thrown at you. I mean, it definitely it's happened to me. I had a baby gate thrown at me once, not on investigation, just at a friend's house. It's shocking when you get something thrown at you. You know, I had that one time. What was the story behind this? Where were you when they had the bottle thrown at you? What was the story behind it?
Well, we were in Heffley Creek, BC, and you know, we'd been to this house once already, and I got this really crazy picture of this. I don't know. It looked like something getting up out of a bathtub. So, you know, after True North Paranormal was formed, and after Dean Trumbley and Thunder Boys found us and decided to make a show or about True North Paranormal, I mean, this lady got in touch with us again, and she said, you know, things haven't gotten any better. You know, we're still getting crazy amounts of activity. So we go back to this house, you know, a year, in between 1 and 2 years later. So we were very familiar with the potential elements going into this.
And the bathroom.
That was a washroom.
Oh, jeez.
That picture is actually up on our website of the thing getting out of the bathtub, it looks like.
Jeff, if he can find that, our video engineer, Jeff, if he's around, he might look that up, and we'll show it to the audience, if that's all right.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what this is all about, man. We want to share.
Yeah.
Speaking of, what is your guys' website? Because I want to mention it now, and we'll mention it at the end of the show as well.
Oh, www.truenorthparanormal.com.
Check it out there, guys, and we'll see Jeff pulls it up here. Or the radio audience, you can check it out there. Yeah, the bathroom is, to me, the worst place for a spirit to be. It's like, there's got to be an off-limit place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to find a different bathroom, man. That's just weird. Someone watching me now, you know?
Yeah.
Looks like Jeff's trying to look it up right now to see if he can find that picture. Yeah, he's looking. You know, the reason I say it's the worst place, I was on an investigation once and walked in the bathroom and heard this little, like, kid's voice giggle right as I'm going to take, you know, leave myself. The last thing you want is when you're, you know, exposing yourself like that to hear somebody giggle, as a guy, at least.
Oh.
Yeah. And then it happened to another investigator when they went into the bathroom. They heard it, too. We could not figure out where the little giggle came from. We tried, like, debunking it, or maybe it's a sound from something else, but it sounds like a little kid giggling.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, well, I'll kind of, obviously with the probe out there, I'll kind of give you a summary here. We found out this guy's name is Paul. So Paul is the spirit that haunts this particular basement. And a word like haunt I don't even like using. It's so cliche.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to avoid a lot of cliche in the paranormal. I hate to say it, though.
I know, man. I try my best to avoid everything. Like, I really do. It's like, how can I get a clever word in here to say that it's haunted without saying the word haunted?
Yeah.
It's very, extremely difficult.
Yeah, right. The activity there was by a fellow named Paul. And, we'd ended up going, and after the bottle flew, myself and our producer, Dean, actually went down, and we tried debunking, thinking, well, you know, how could this have flown past Dean, who was in the corner kind of up against the wall, a good 8 or 9 inches from where this thing was sitting? How could it go past him and behind me and not hit me? Oh, man. It's trippy. It freaked me out.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder. I mean, a bottle was it a glass bottle?
No, it was actually a what was it? Evian water.
Yeah, plastic water bottle.
Yeah,
plastic water bottle. But if you could probably throw a heavy glass bottle. I mean, yeah, think about it. You could get hurt. Something thrown at you. I had a screw thrown at me once in a dark basement in this old abandoned, or it wasn't abandoned. It was a church turned into a theater, and we counted like 19 things being thrown that night. But only do it in the dark, and it always made me suspicious somebody's pulling shenanigans. But when you have it in the daylight and you see something thrown at you, that's got to jolt you a little bit. What else are they going to throw? Because, I mean, I just read on the World Wide Web of Weird, they said they had stuff thrown in that Siberian home. They had a knife thrown at them.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I got to say, man, I wish to God there would be nothing negative, of course. I got to give a full disclosure, but my dream case is a poltergeist case. I want one so bad.
There's another. To me, that's another term that's always bothered me. I don't know about you, but everybody refers to usually what is considered psychokinetic activity, usually around a person, as a poltergeist, which we know that's the term for noisy ghost. But it's not usually a ghost. It's usually activity coming from a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and I think that's kind of why I want to get one so bad. I want to document this, right? Like when it's happening, I want to be the investigator there, documenting everything happening, getting levels as everything is going on,
So I'll ask you as an investigator, what would be signs to you that, okay, I'm dealing with a poltergeist case, the classic poltergeist, something surrounding a person. It's not a haunting. It's a person who's in a way haunted, or it's psychokinetic activity from a person. What would help you determine that?
Well, I mean, the first thing that's going to make me take a look at things is obviously the age of the children, male or female. A lot of documented cases were actually teenage girls.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm going to look a little harder there. If there's a teenage girl, I'm probably going to lean more towards psychokinetic energy off the get-go. But again, trail of evidence, right?
Yeah, a lot of people go to the teenage girl scenario, and I think that's the most common. But I've also seen women going through menopause, too.
Good call.
Yeah, anything hormonal, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It seems, and that's the weirdest part about it, is like, what are the hormones doing to cause that kind of, activity? To me, it's examples of, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt tonight. Of like the Force, I mean, if it's coming from a person, that means things are moving. That means, in theory, a person's energy could cause something to move.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Just like Carrie, the movie Carrie.
Yeah, exactly. Carrie is like when things go extremely bad in a poltergeist case. They're all gonna laugh at you.
Oh my.
Oh wow.
Well, but I've always wondered, when I've had a couple cases where I suspected. I always think there's sometimes it's not always straight, clear and cut poltergeist. Sometimes you think it might attract other spirits too. Like somebody gives off that kind of energy might attract other spirits, or it's a combo. They move into a location that has spirits. They are psychokinetic themselves, and the two play off of each other.
Oh yeah,
exactly. That's kind of why I say it's one of my dreams, right? It's my bucket list case. I want to be able to. Yeah, man. I want to document something so I can say that I contributed some form of tangible proof into the phenomenon.
Yeah, I've always wanted to run across one of those cases. For me, is my theory of, if it comes from a person and it's psychokinetic, is there a way for that person to realize it? Is what I want to know. All these cases, they always treat the person with like kind of kids' gloves and like, okay, yeah, it's really coming from you. It's hard to tell somebody it's not a ghost you're dealing with. It's actually coming from you. Hans Holzer. I mean, he was either it's coming from the person or it's coming from the geology of the location. He wasn't very much into spirits and the afterlife. It's one of the original, parapsychologists. Parapsychology really does try to say it's either from a person, psychokinetic activity, or it's from the location. And really that's them saying, no, we don't want to touch that it's somebody from the afterlife.
Yeah. And it's kind of still, you still see that today. It's still though not as bad, it's still taboo. You know, spirits are still taboo to many people in many cultures, you know.
Yeah, a lot of people still don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and well, that's what I always saw. Like parapsychology was a way to science and psychology to understand. I think the paranormal, but I think the whole poltergeist instances or psychokinetic activity and geolocation was their way of trying to. I mean, there are definitely theories that I believe are true and definitely affect the paranormal, but I think it was always their way to skirt around that they're spirits too. That this activity they don't want to say it's spirits. I mean, if you watch interviews with Han Holzer, I'm probably butchering his name, but one of the original parapsychologists out there, he always was, never wanted to admit that it's spirits most of the time. But he would bring a medium with him too to like sense out a place, and she would say they're spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Now, Karina, I've seen in the video you do this walkthrough. Like John does his electromagnetic walkthrough. He's getting the EMF readings and all that stuff. You do an empath walkthrough. You want to explain a little bit of what that is to the audience?
Sure. I'll go through the location room by room, and if I feel something there, I'll spend a little more time there and try to verbalize what it is I'm feeling. A lot of the times I don't feel anything, but some of the times I'll get some really strange feelings. Sometimes I'll get emotions of what the person feels that actually sleeps in the room. Sometimes it was hard to determine if what I was feeling was the spirit or the person spending time in the room. So, that's just, I have to figure out what that was all about. But, yeah, I'll go by feelings.
And, that's another instrument most investigators forget about. Or like me even, I will admit this, I told my stories on here, my psychic experiences where I've had something, medium-like happen to me and I've always kind of skirted away from it, but I always have to remind myself, you are an instrument of detection, and you should, I always do analyze, I try to remember I do need to analyze my feelings and how things are around me. Your body is a great instrument. I mean, it's a little electromagnetic feeler itself.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, everybody has powers that they just need to get in touch with, I guess.
I like to sit and, have like a moment of an EVP session by myself and just sit in the quiet in a room and just get the feel of it. Do you guys kind of like do that, try to get a feel what a place is or, just the...
Yeah, I like sitting in a room just quiet, dark, quiet, and just listening to the room because silence can be loud.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't that approach.
Yeah, John's not like that. I am.
No, I'm the my approach is always I want to go in and get the evidence. I'm always respectful, and I try to honor. In Canada, it's so many cultures up here that we have to be careful on.
Oh yeah.
And we like to operate within that too. But yeah, no, I let Karina do that, where she'll take a couple minutes in a room and. I can say firsthand that our producer, Dean Trumbley, was quite the skeptic until he saw Karina do her thing. And every time she tells us something's going to happen, it's bang, it starts, it's in there, it's happening.
Mm.
She's never steered us in the wrong direction ever.
Do you guys, Karina, have you ever gleaned any kind of extra sensory information that, like, you were able to kind of research later to find out you got some kind of info or anything like that?
Yeah, there was that incident at the theater where we were told that somebody had passed away in the theater. Remember, in the middle row?
It was, yeah.
But what I was feeling was in a different row entirely on the left side of the theater. Then we found out after that the person actually died in the left part of the theater where I was pointing at.
That's awesome.
So that was weird.
Yeah,
no, that's awesome though. That's the kind of validation you look for.
Definitely.
Yeah, I like to a lot of times know research or have some kind of background about a location, but I don't always get it till afterwards. And I've never been able to make my mind. Is it great to have the information before I go in, so I know maybe who I might be talking to, like names and stuff, or is it better not to know and just go in.
I like to get just a very, very little bit, just in case a relevant name does go up. But then I do not do any investigating, read anybody's stuff, watch anybody's stuff till I go home and watch my own playback, because I don't want any influence.
How about you guys? I mean, what do you guys do? Do you guys want a lot of research before you go in or afterwards? I don't think either one's better than the other. I haven't made up my mind on that.
Yeah, I don't think either one's better either. Sometimes we try to do a little bit of research ahead of time, but we don't go in with a lot of information.
I try to minimize how much. Like Karina will go and she'll research property history, and you know what I mean. There's so much research she does on the property and the house, not so much as the people. I don't want that information when I go in. The trouble is, you know, the human is programmed from the get-go that once you get a piece of information, it's in your head and it's cycling there. So therefore, you are kind of leaning towards something, whether you realize it or not. I want to go in there, and I want my instruments to tell me what's there. I don't want to go in based on what I heard, you know.
What I read,
I see Jeff pulled up the Vernon Powerhouse Theater on there. I don't think he ever did find that picture out of the tub. He was looking for it.
In the media pictures, I'm not sure.
There should be a media link there.
Should be. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, we're heading to the Powerhouse Theater in March, or is it March? May. I knew it started with an M.
And can you tell us a little history of this place?
Well, I mean, the history's on the site. It's one of the original buildings downtown, but the cool thing about this building is the side of this building actually blew up. And because it was a powerhouse, the power blew up, and you know, half the building was taken with it during the explosion. So we actually got the tip of this being a really haunted place from the ghost guide, actually, that's out there. He does a haunted walk every Halloween. So he's the one that got in touch with TNP, and he said, you know, you guys should check this place out because there's supposed to be a lot going on in there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm jealous. I would love to go. I've done a number of theaters that are haunted, and I swear spirits are attracted to the energy that happens in a theater. I wonder if sometimes that's what keeps it going is the emotions of people watching a play or whatever, or movie theaters even. I've known 2 different movie theaters that were haunted, and I've always wondered if that plays a part in it. Think about people going to a horror movie. That wouldn't attract good things. You don't think either?
Oh yeah, man. Huh? I know the Vernontown Theater. Though we didn't get his name come through, the owners and the staff believe that it was an owner named Ellard from, what was it, the 40s?
I think he died in the early 80s, so...
But when did he own the building? 40s, I believe. I can't remember the exact date. It's been a while.
Sure. I don't know.
Yeah, but they believe it's him.
Yeah.
So.
Now, do you guys do a lot of you do some of these big locations? Are you doing residentials too? But I mean, is it more the big locations or more residentials you're doing?
Well, in terms of the filming, I mean, True North Paranormal, a TV show itself, we're currently filming the first season. We try to hit the larger ones. I mean, we have an hour that we're going to have. True North Paranormal's Paranormal Probes, that's where we go and ask the people do you want the camera crew to follow us? We can bring them. If that's the case, then, we'll be there and we'll film a short. I mean, even though it's 20 minutes of video, we're there for 6-7 hours.
Oh, yeah. People wonder, how long they film. That's why they film, 3 days for some of these paranormal shows.
Man.
To get 45 minutes worth of material.
Yeah, right. And an hour worth is 5 days, 4 days. Whatever.
Well, yeah.
So we do investigations too, though. I know we'll go and we'll help people out just to help them out. Obviously we give the option to have the camera crew, and some people don't want it.
Yeah, you don't blame them.
Yeah, can we just get some help here? That's all we're really after.
And so when you do have somebody you do investigate, and somebody comes to you and I want it gone, what do you guys do then?
We try to go within their culture to do something. I mean, house cleansing is a big thing, though not always effective. Sometimes it takes a few. You know, we kind of let the people decide. We'll provide them with a bunch of options, and we tell them what their options are in our opinion. Because let's face it, that's all there are is opinions.
And no guarantees whatsoever. You
know?
No.
I've seen house clearings. You've had to go back 4 times to do a house clearing, and then you see them work right away.
Yeah.
And not work at all. I mean, you go all the time, it will never work.
Exactly. I mean, the success rate's just too unknown.
Yeah, it really is. So my group, we look to people from the outside to help us. You know, we reach out to people to help clear. We try to educate people and gather evidence and then use that to get help if people want a gun. Most of the time I find, I don't know about you, but most of the time I find people are like, yeah, it's all right. You know, I'm not worried about getting rid of it, but I want to know I'm not crazy and that this is really happening.
Yeah, that's often the result we get. A lot of people seem really cool about it.
Yeah, they're very outgoing about that.
Or they're just like, I'm moving, don't worry about it. I've gotten that. Got that coming up, really.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. We had a lady actually contact us, and she wanted us to come out to her ranch and do an investigation. And she was all gung-ho, and she was trying to sell her home, though, at the same time. So her real estate agent's like, no, you don't want a paranormal investigation company to come out here.
It's like, look at this lovely property here. Don't mind the True North Paranormal van.
Yeah. No, that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Too bad, though. It would have been fun.
Yeah, I think she did sell it, though.
Yeah.
I've had people like, it's sold, so come over here really quick before they take ownership.
Come over before they take possession.
Yep.
You guys got the lookers.
I've had a couple like that. So, you were talking before about, using the spirit box. What kind of spirit box are you using? Just like the regular SB7?
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes I find simpler is better on my thing. I mean, I don't want things to be overly complicated, right? The more bells and whistles you start to add, the more I feel things could be compromised. I want it as basic as I can.
And yeah, with SB7 is basic, and you get something through an SB7. I mean, I've had stuff come through. I mean, if you got at the right, chopping rate, basically, nothing should come through. You shouldn't get a sentence or a name or anything that's going by so quick, but you do. You wonder, what is it that do you think some people think, I honestly don't think it's this, but some people think it's they're using radio frequencies to communicate through the device. My personal opinion, and if you disagree, that's completely fine. We're all theories, is that they take any kind of source audio and try to manipulate it.
That's kind of, I've never really looked at it like that. I've always looked at it under the impression myself that they're able to communicate on different FM, AM frequencies.
Do you think it's their voice, or do you think that they're just using a different radio?
That's what Jason's saying, right?
Yeah.
So they're either manipulating. I mean, that's an interesting theory, one that I myself didn't think of.
Huh. Yeah.
Well, it goes back to the idea of stochastic resonance. Back in the early days of EVP, people used a lot of white noise experiments, playing fans or static noise, and would get EVPs with it. It's just it becomes really annoying to listen back to. So that's why I got out of it when I first started. I did experiment a lot with it. But the idea is they take the static noise or they take the noise and use it to communicate. I still think it's a legit theory, even though I hate using white noise, because I don't know if you noticed during EVP sessions, if you sit there and are really quiet, you get nothing. But then you guys start talking back and forth, and then something ends up in between your guys, the people's there's voices. It's like it needed something to use to make that voice.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of interesting. We had something like that, actually. We unfortunately had to throw the piece away because someone else was talking and we couldn't separate the frequencies. But I actually have had something very similar. The last probe happened. We had what sounded like a lady go, mm-hmm. And, but the trouble was Karina was coughing at the same time.
Right.
So we had to piece out. We can't present that as evidence, right?
Yeah.
I've gotten some legitimate, no way it's anybody else, EVPs, and it's like right in between us talking, and I swear it's like it's using the echo or something from our voice, that stochastic resonance, to make it be heard. There's always, the idea of, I don't know if you've ever seen those toothbrushes that kids use that make sound if you put them in your mouth. You know?
Have you seen the equipment that Bill Chappell has? It's basically a white noise generator, like an AM generator, that it's pumping into it. You can't hear it without the microphone, so he's just pumping like the white noise in the air as you're doing the EVP session, so you don't even hear that noise.
But the mic picks it up because it's that stochastic resonance. It's actually vibrating that microphone inside the case, and that's what I think kind of is what happens with EVPs. Something along those lines.
That's actually a good theory, man. I honestly never actually.
Yeah, I think I did see that machine in use.
I haven't.
I did. It was on episode 14.
She knows what. Look at her. She knows what episode and number and everything.
Yeah, and then they waved the microphone by it like a dog whistle, and then you could hear it. You know, I think it was at one of the St. James Hotel or something like that, but. It was interesting, and they did get him and Bill Chappell in the dark got some really good EVPs.
Yeah, it's something I want to get back into experimenting with because I think there's something to it. The more I've gone on, I used to think the spirit box was like radio frequencies that are using that, but I think it's closely tied to what happens with EVPs, and I think either one's related to the idea of stochastic resonance and somehow manipulating that sound.
Yeah, that is a good call.
Yeah, no, I actually never actually stopped and looked at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
This is why I like other investigators, right? Like, this is one of those things that I love. I love talking to other investigators and hearing what they have to say. And, you know, I mean, with any luck, a bunch of us will get together one day and we'll be able to bang something out, and that's it.
That's my hope. Yeah. That's why I do this show. I mean, that's why I do this show, so we can put like minds together and talk about these things and come up with ideas. You know, that's what we do. We do the ITC Collective show, Instrumental Transcommunication show, for the ITC Collective group, Facebook group. We do it once a month, and we used to do it once a month. It's like once every other month. We're going to do that next Sunday, and we do live spirit boxes on the show, and we get replies. People call in, and it will reply to the people. Like recently, I don't know if I updated this on the show or not. We had one called Misty who called in, and she asked the question. Can the spirits tell me about our family secret that my grandmother has? And, of course, a lot of this you don't hear in real time. We didn't. But on playback, it says, you know, Chuck, or something about Chuck is protecting you, or something like that. And it said something else, Chuck. And when I posted the video and I put that up there, you know, I said, and I put Chuck, I tagged it. Just to be simplified, I tagged it. She's like, that was the secret. At the end of the, I knew, she said, is Chuck Norris my grandfather?
Wow.
Turns out just recently her brother went and found, like through a DNA test or whatever, that they are like 98% or whatever, something related to Chuck Norris. Like there's DNA testing done. So it was true. Like it was on the show. And it's crazy how that's, you think that none of us are in a room together. We're all in a virtual environment, but the spirits hear them coming through the system. Sometimes I got headphones on, and people playing their spirit boxes. They can't, you wonder how are they hearing it? How are they communicating? So my ideas about stochastic resonance kind of throw out the window on the ITC show because it's got to be something even more than that. I think they can manipulate audio within even electronics because that's all sound that's going into a system.
I think they go through the headphones. I think they go through our computers. I think it's just all connected somehow.
Now, when you guys have done residential cases, can you tell us give us a kind of a glimpse into like one of your favorite residential cases or a case that was intriguing?
I got to think about that one here.
Of course, without revealing people's names, I know you know that. But.
Apartment.
Yeah.
Wells apartment.
You're not supposed to use names.
Well, it wasn't really a full name, but apartment buildings are interesting because the spirits could be from across the hall.
I'm doing one next week.
Anywhere.
Oh, you're talking about the mist.
Yeah, the mist.
Okay, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I guess that would probably have to be one of the most interesting ones where, there was actually, I saw a manifestation, albeit for a couple seconds. It was still enough time for something to flash in my eyes.
Yeah.
There was a mist above Karina when she was walking through, and again, this is one of those times when we're without the cameras.
Of course. That's how it always works.
Yeah, no, there was this mist right above her head, and we had a medium with us. And I asked the medium, just to verify. I called the medium, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I just saw a mist, but can you tell me where? And he walked over and he said, right here. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly where I just saw something. So that's,
And it went out the window?
Yeah. Gone.
There was somebody living in an apartment complex living with this paranormal activity going on, and you guys go in there. I'm doing an apartment complex actually next weekend. I posted the video, or I showed the video on our show a couple weeks ago of them having their cabinet doors fly open. So my girlfriend was home there alone, and at the cabinets we're doing that investigation next weekend. But yeah, apartment complex, man. Yeah, it's, you know, you got a lot of different people living there. You wonder, where the spirits is in your apartment? Or are they in the other person's apartment? You know, what's going on? And it definitely can't clear it. There is no clearing, in my opinion, for an apartment.
In an apartment, it's like, you know, you got nothing. You just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
Deal with it or get out. That's what I've had to tell people. Like, can you get rid of this? I'm like, well, one, we don't do that as a group, but I do reach out to people. But I'm not going to reach out to anybody because there's no way of getting rid of it. We could bless it and make it better, you know, but it's going to come back.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. At the end of the day, I mean, it's got so many places to go, right? Like,
wow.
Trying to source it would be almost impossible.
I know, yeah.
And you said you had a medium with you. One of the rare times I saw with other people a full-body apparition was my friend Katrina Cooper is a medium, and I always experience weird stuff when I'm with her. She's like, she feels it. Again, I think people are such like power cells to the paranormal. I think we talked about this last week with Jimmy Pettinito I had on the show about this experience, but we saw a full-body apparition. I know, I swear, even though there's a lot of activity they say going on in this place, nobody was talking about seeing full-body apparitions until Katrina's there, and we saw it, lights on and everything, in the house. There was a lot of bad mojo going on that night. We actually had to leave that investigation. But me and my wife and one other person saw this full-body apparition just walk right by. It was a mist, like a white misty figure, walked right by, right through. And, yeah. You know, I don't know if you thought that medium might have had an influence on your investigation that night, but I think they can be like, they're like little EM pumps.
Yeah,
yeah.
They're like lightning rods for this stuff.
Oh,
you know?
Definitely. I'm getting chills.
Yeah, no, it was pretty interesting, and what made it really cool is at the end of the night we had the medium talk to us about this apartment and how somebody had actually passed away in that room, and you know, we confirmed this with people that someone actually passed away in that room. You know, there's just so many cool elements that made that such a sweet, fun thing.
I think a neighbor had died too.
Yeah.
And then there was a guy walking down the hall up and down with the dog, remember?
Oh, yeah.
There's so many spirits coming from all directions.
Well, if people die in an apartment complex, you know, it's going to start getting active after a while.
Busy place.
One thing, okay, so I got to ask you a question here, Jason. When we get into things where, I mean, suicide obviously is a very unfortunate real thing. Now, my question would be, and this is to any investigator, I mean, feel free to chime in type deal, but...
Call into the show, Skype ID, OOJBland00, shameless plug. Go ahead.
There you go. Oh, yeah, no, do you feel that the suicide is actually going to make it a negative entity by default?
Yes, because I've experienced it. I don't think everybody who commits suicide becomes some kind of negative entity, though. I don't think that, but I think it leaves a negative stain, a negative energy.
I think they get processed differently also. They don't...
I'm not sure what happens to people when they commit suicide. I really don't know, but I've been in places where people committed suicide, and the energy is definitely heavy and negative.
Yeah, no, it's definitely different and negative for sure. But, you know, one of the things I always wondered was in some of these places, people always label suicide as the one cause. That's why there's a negative entity. It's one of the default things, the go-tos, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is it possible that, you know, the suicide itself was a peaceful transition, that it actually wasn't a negative thing? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm making sense here.
I think so. I think it's just case by case like everything else.
That's right. I think if if they had like a mental disorder, I think they might have had a harder transition. But ended up in a nice place. But
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think all suicides go to hell. I'm a Gnostic.
Yeah, and like whatever happened in the room as it was going down, that energy is going to be thumbprinted there residually forever. So whatever they were feeling, whatever was going on when that moment happened is going to be there.
I compare it to this. The first time I ever felt the heaviness of a suicide is I was at a ex-girlfriend's house, and she said, yeah, a boy committed suicide here. And I was in the bathroom doing my business again. No ghost giggling this time. But I'm looking at, they had like that bumpy wall in the bathroom, you know, that bumpy, crappy stuff that's on the wall. And I could see little red specks in the wall. And I come out, I go, did he commit suicide in the bathroom? She goes, yeah. I'm like, did he use a gun? She goes, yeah, he blew his head off in the bathroom. The blood was still, like, caught in the specks.
Oh, wow, man.
But I felt it. Like, I knew it the moment I was going to taking a leak in this bathroom. I felt this heaviness. I didn't even know he committed suicide in there. I just knew I didn't know somebody committed suicide in the house. But I felt it in that bathroom. And then I was just, like, looking. I'm like, okay, is that blood? Literally. And it was, like, years old. But you could still see, like, little specks, like, just encrusted in this crappy, I don't know what you call it, stucco kind of wall.
That's kind of weird.
What? I heard something weird noise.
Yeah, it's like some weird warbling sound. I don't know what to call that.
Hey, we get some voices in on this show, so watch out. We've had them.
No, I don't know what to call that. I'm just going to use a technical term like warbling.
Warbling. That's a good word.
Wibbly wobbly.
Yeah.
I use wonky.
Or timey-wimey. But
wonky.
Wonky, yeah. That's what we usually say. Things are going wonky. But but yeah, when you get a suicide, I think it's like that blood I saw in that stucco. It's a stain on the location. No matter what the transition was later for the person, or I think many hopefully go to a better place and can resolve their issues. But I definitely think it leaves a negative stain no matter what in a location. What I've experienced.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, this is just a matter of perspective, right? Trying to see what other people think before I formulate my own opinions. I just don't know enough yet to formulate something.
I know. I know Katrina, my friend. That's the medium. I've seen her communicate to people from somebody who's had a suicide, and they're fine. That she's getting messages, and they're just trying to communicate to their loved ones. So if she's right, which I think she is, and if she is communicating with something, people do move on. And they're not going to hell.
Yeah, I don't believe that anyone who's a good person is going to end up there anyway, regardless of how you go. I think that's a pretty narrow-minded way to look at things personally. I
think people could put themselves in their own hell, and I think that might be what hauntings might be sometimes. I don't know what you
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
I think.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying. I think that's a pretty good way to assess it.
Yeah, because. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
You still there?
Okay. Part of the reason why I brought it up was because, we got this one call, and this guy had told us that he's trying to rent his house, but he can't rent this house, and the few times he has rented this house, the people have moved out within days. He did tell us that there was a few suicides in there, in addition to it being a drug shack.
So there was more than one suicide.
Oh yeah, there was numerous ones, but again, this is trying to get other people's opinions before I obviously get in there, right?
Right.
So the suicides in addition to the drugs, I don't know.
It's just negative all around.
Yeah, bad mojo.
Yeah.
Well, the reason piques my interest at the multiple suicides is one thing. We talk about we want a psychokinetic case. I don't want a demonic case. But
No.
But I am interested in, because I've seen, I believe it's possible because of my own dark experience, and I don't know if mine was demonic or not. I had a dark experience. I call it a shadow person experience. But I do know there are things out there that are evil that can try to push you to do harm to others or to yourself. And there's some people, that believe there's demons that are suicide demons. Their goal and intent is to make somebody kill themselves, and they usually surround a certain location. You'll find multiple suicides in that location because of it, is a theory.
Mm. Yeah, no, that
makes sense. It makes sense. It reminds me of that bridge. I think it's in England where all the dogs are jumping off and committing suicide.
Right.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that is weird. They've tried to figure out if it's something geological or something that's messing with the dog's brain there. They can't figure it out. And you think it's just some pesky demonic spirit, because they'd have to be evil to make dogs jump off a bridge. You got to be evil, or it's just a really wicked person that in the soul out there that's doing that.
Yeah, weird.
That's when I keep waiting for them to have some kind of scientific reason for it. I've heard them say that it fools the dogs the way that it the layout of the bridges or something like that. I don't know, but it just seems really weird. I know somebody that lived in a house. Their dog committed suicide in the house. The dog jumped out the window.
Oh, jeez.
That's weird.
Killed itself. Yeah.
Wow, that is really weird.
So it makes you wonder what if there is another side, are there other spirits out there, and if they are they able to influence us and make us do things, or maybe not make us, but influence us in a way?
I think so.
Yeah.
Attachments are like that.
Yeah, I'd have to say, assuming any less would be, again, narrow-minded, right? I mean, as an investigator, I want to keep myself open to all possible possibilities and not just dismiss something,
Yeah, you got to wonder. I mean, I hate bringing it up, but when people go crazy and do stuff, I mean, they're personally responsible for what they do. But you always wonder if there's, because I mean, the ones that live that don't kill themselves say they heard voices. I mean, maybe it's an insanity plea, like the son of Sam did. But you got to wonder: is there something to it? Is it just they're completely crazy, or are they hearing voices?
Yeah, no, I've always wondered how many people that end up in the loony bin are actually influenced by negative spirits, but they don't know how to communicate that.
Right. I mean, if they're able to leave recordings on, leave voices on our recordings, and sometimes have voices that we hear with our own ears, if they find the right person that can hear them, do you think they might never shut up to that person?
No doubt, yeah.
Oh my God, you can hear me? Hey,
yeah.
you.
Yeah, that would drive anybody insane. But then if there's evil out there that has an intent, you wonder what it could really do to somebody that could pick up on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man.
Now, tell people a little bit about what's going on with you have a show, the True North Paranormal. Is what the show is going to be called? True North Paranormal, correct?
Yeah, the show's going to be called True North Paranormal.
So tell a little people about where what that show's going to be, and where they're going to be able to find it.
Well, right now the station that's going to carry it, I can't really say too much about.
Okay.
Yeah, but the show it's going to be us going to bigger locations in Canada, and we're trying to keep it in Canada because the States has lots of investigators and a lot of successful shows. Canada at this point has 0 that are similar to TAPS or Ghost Adventures. And, Canada's such a vast country that has so many cases.
So much history.
Yeah, man, the Canadian history it's one of those things. I mean, that just the East Coast alone, if you actually look when the settlers landed in North America on the Canadian side and they met the First Nations people, and dear God, man, there's just so much stuff. And, all that translates into untapped resources, if you would.
You mentioned that, the Native American aspect up in Canada. Have you had any cases that dealt with the Native American territory that the location was on?
Just the residential school, really, to this point. The thing we found is a lot of the people within that culture like to deal with it within the culture. They don't really reach out. They'll call the medicine man, or they'll have a ceremony to rid things. All of us as investigators typically are everyone's last line of defense. lot of people try to reach out within their own means to try to do something and take care of things, So we've only been fortunate enough to get one of those cases.
And some always, I've had people, I don't know how many investigations speculate, oh, this was Indian territory. I'm like, maybe, we'll find out. But most of the time it's not, There's some that are, and those have been, I've had some weird ones that were definitely on, definitely Native American land, or used to be Native American land. Where we're here in America, more often than not, it used to be Native American land because we took it, And that's where I see a lot of the problems come from.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
What are some of the other, you talked about using the, doing EVP and, having REM pods. Is there any other kind of pieces of equipment you guys like to use on an investigation?
The laser grid.
Laser grid actually has gotten some really good results.
So what have you gotten with the laser grid?
Just movement out the corner of the eye, almost like you or I walked past this laser grid, but we were CGI removed.
Right.
So, we have gotten things like that pop up. What is that sound I keep hearing on? Is that our phone?
I don't know, but we didn't mention the nun picture, the picture of the nun in the residential school.
Ooh. I don't know, but nuns always creep me out a little bit.
The nuns in this place, man, I don't know. We watched this 20-minute propaganda video. Yeah. It was ridiculous. The children were happy to see this nun, and they were all eating happily, which actually was never the case.
Yeah, it was actually quite opposite.
Oh, so they made a propaganda video for the school?
Residential school.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It was Christmas time, and everybody was happy, and...
Initially, when we went to this place, we were going to do it around Christmas time.
So tell me a little bit about this picture of the nun, then.
Our producers, Denise, she went and she was taking still shots of the building outside, and she didn't like the first picture she took for some reason, so she went and took one immediately after. And there's a nun in the picture. All of a sudden, you can clearly see it. We did post it, and we didn't say anything about it. We wanted everybody's opinion on it, but you can clearly see that it looks like a nun in her habit.
That sounds really familiar. Like I've seen that posting.
Yeah, we did have it on our page.
Might have seen that.
I'm not sure if it's still there or not.
Yeah, I might have seen that. I'm not sure because it sounds really familiar. But yeah, I don't know what it is. But I mean, nuns are really sweet women. I know nuns. I went to a Catholic school, and I grew up in a Catholic hospital my mom worked at. Nuns are really sweet ladies, but I don't know what it is about a ghost nun that kind of creeps me out. Maybe because they shouldn't be a ghost. They're a nun. You think they're holy. They should move on. But if they're a ghost, what does that mean?
And some of those nuns, the things that we heard from families of the people that went there, that those nuns were probably the furthest thing from good.
What was some of the stuff that they were doing?
Well, I mean, some of the things the nuns were doing is they would starve the children. They'd feed them scraps from supper.
No soup for you.
Had worms in them. The oatmeal had worms in them.
Oh. Ooh.
Oh yeah, man. No, it's the list goes on. It's funny. Well, we're saying this too.
Well, that is abuse. Worms in your oatmeal is abuse.
Physical abuse as well, like getting smacked with a paddle.
And cutting their hair. They would cut the native girl's hair.
Yep.
Knowing that it was, it was part of their culture.
Yeah, well, it was a cultural war. I mean, it was a genocide on its way. Trying to just destroy the Native American culture, or Native Canadian. I see Native American. I'm sorry, North American.
We can say Native North American. That way, we're completely politically correct.
Native North American. Sorry.
There we go.
But
does that term work for you?
Yeah, don't want to offend people. But it was, it was a total war against their culture. I mean, they were trying to destroy them as a race.
Yeah, it's so dark, so dark. And I know when we actually said I said the word nun. I was trying to interact with the children, And this is when we were, again, in that one room that Karina was talking about, the daycare. I said something about, are you guys afraid of the nun? And as soon as I said nun, it's like all activity, boom, stopped.
It's like the kids, the nuns here? Let's go hide.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, oh, my God, the nun, and boom, they were just done.
And then I sensed another entity enter. It was like an adult figure that entered, and it was like she scared off the children, and it was weird because it was only, 1 in the morning, and no more activity after that. All activity ceased. Like, it was the weirdest thing ever. I've never had that happen.
Called her forth by saying none.
Yeah, man, it's almost like she showed up and said, you kids get back to bed.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
What I think is awful about the whole idea, like you said, as a father, and how you felt about it is how I would feel about it, too. It's like, well, that's awful that there are children's spirits still living under the tyranny of this nun. It's like that movie The Others, living under the tyranny of Nicole Kidman and her craziness. Well, they're internally trapped with this nun. That's an awful idea.
oh, yeah, man, and that's
sad.
Part of what we wanted to do. Like, we had to go before Chief and Council to get permission to go in there, obviously, because we're not
Aboriginal.
Yeah, we're not Aboriginal. I was trying to find the right word. Anyway, we had to go get permission from Chief and Council and all that, and yeah. I was going somewhere with this, and I lost track because I started brain farting thinking about a word.
It's all right. Well, I'm sure that was probably an interesting conversation to get permission to go in there.
It was probably the most intimidating thing of my life.
I bet. I would be. I mean, were they pretty relaxed about it? They're like, oh, yeah, no problem? Or did you really have to fight for it?
No, they were actually really cool about it.
We brought them an offering. That helped.
We brought them the gift. We tried again. With True North Paranormal, we try to honor, the cultures that we're dealing with. And when it came to the Native Canadians, I mean, you'd bring the chief a gift of untreated tobacco.
Untreated tobacco.
So that's what we did. We bought some untreated tobacco, and we presented it wrapped like they did in the red cloth, and we presented it to the chief. And, we wanted to show them that, look, we understand how your culture works, and we want to honor your culture, And I think that was a big icebreaker, I think they saw the respect factor right away. So everything from there was like, yeah, they want to come in? Sure, come on in.
I have to, real quick, I got to apologize to my audience. I had my setup different last week, and I went back to the old setup, and I forgot to sign into my Skype. So if anybody was trying to call, they probably were not getting through because I am signed out.
I think Zach was trying to get through, perhaps.
I wondered. I just realized that. I apologize to my audience. We still got 10 minutes. I'm going to try to sign in really quickly, or at least take one phone call. I apologize. I just realized, I'm like, well, Zach usually calls in. I looked, and I'm like, I'm not signed in. That's what technical difficulties. All right. Well, let me sign in really quick. Should be up here in just a second. Sorry about that to anybody trying to call. Zach, I know you were probably trying. All right, so I am signed into Skype, so you can call in. It's JBland 00. We still have about 10 minutes left. Somebody wants to get a phone call in. Yep, I see. I missed a phone call from Zach. Hopefully he's still there. It happens. So what? Do you guys have any idea when the show is going to be released yet?
I believe it is early 2019, I believe. We're basically compiling a bunch of stuff. I mean, our pilot was shot at the Vernon Town Theater. So 2019, early 2019, I believe, is when Dean was shooting for.
Yeah.
Now, can you tell us, the locations at all that you're going to be going to for all that? Or you have, like, a list of locations, or you're allowed to give that out yet?
We posted the ones that we kind of let our producer Dean handle all that. When it comes to talking about things, we let him kind of do that. We try not to tread. We show up when they say show up.
Gotcha.
So I mean, Thunder Boys, obviously, Thunder Boys Productions Inc. is our production company, and obviously we kind of do a lot of things with their permission, right? We don't want to step on anyone's toes because I mean we're in this fantastic position that I myself 2 years ago would never picture myself being in.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of ghost hunting TV shows, but I've seen a lot of groups think, oh, we're getting a ghost hunting group together, we're going to be on a TV show, or I've had people say that to me, are you going to be on a TV show? I'm like, it doesn't happen often. It really doesn't, and it's hard to get a show going, to do it. But we do have a caller. I knew I was supposed to have a caller. And how you doing, Zach?
I'm doing pretty good, brother. How you doing?
Doing good. Sorry about that earlier. Keep it to one question because of the time constraints.
No problem, man. No problem. John, Karina, very nice to meet you. John, I know that you explained actually that your ideal case to investigate would be a poltergeist case. My question to you is, what are some of the criteria that you would be looking for in the investigation that would validate your theory that you are dealing with a poltergeist case?
I kind of asked that question before, Zach. I beat you this time to a good question, but I'll let him answer.
Oh, cool.
That's such a vast thing. Obviously, I want to look for the very first, signs, things that are going on within the environment, ages of people, stuff like that. I mean, poltergeist, it's a cliche word. Dream case or not, it's a very cliche word. So
what I've always wanted to do is wake up in the morning and find all your tables and chairs piled on top of each other in some weird twisted movie or something.
And your kids sitting in front of a TV going, "They're here."
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, that's such a loaded question. I really there's so many things that would have to factor into that, man. I know it's probably not the answer you were looking for, but it's hard for me to say what would actually factor in unless I were actually in the moment weighing all the activity going on.
Yeah, it's basically how I would answer it.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. No, I appreciate you answering the questions, both of you. Thank you so much. Jason, thank you so much for allowing me to call in, man. And thank you so much, both of you, for answering my question.
Thanks, Zach. Sorry about earlier. Bad host I am tonight.
Nah, it's all cool, brother.
All right,
everybody have a good night.
You too, man.
Happy President's Day, all right?
Yeah, happy President's Day, man.
It's President's Day down there, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, happy President's Day to everyone down south.
Hey.
And yeah, I could care. I'm a retail man, so I'm like, yeah, holiday, yeah.
A hollow what?
Yeah, exactly. So if people wanted to contact you that are in the Canadian area, are you guys still looking to take residential cases?
Oh, absolutely, man.
Yep.
Yeah, no, info at truenorthparanormal.com is probably the fastest way to get a hold of us, or just find our page on Facebook, or even us as individuals. I mean, part of what we do is we want to help. Whether a camera's behind us or not, our job is still to help, and we feel obligated to help people that need help.
Yeah, that's exactly why I do it too. That's why I like residential cases, because that's why I got into it. Because it's just, if you've ever experienced the paranormal and to such a degree that you feel like you're going crazy, once you come through it, you feel for anybody else that is going to go through that. Who are you going to tell? That you're having this stuff going on. Most people still, even though it's definitely gotten more out there in the open and more accepted, still people look at you crazy.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's. I know the one experience I had as an adult terrified me, and man, I wouldn't want that to happen to anyone else.
Well, any last things you guys want to plug here? We got 5 minutes left of the show. Any last information you want to get out there, or you want to tell the audience? You have the floor.
Oh no, man! I just tell them to donate to your cause, man. Keep this radio show going. That's kind of where I'm at.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, people, we do need donations for Late Night in the Midlands radio network to keep the radio network going. Doesn't go to the show, but the show is on the network, and I like being on the network, and I like being on the radio. So please go to Late Night in the Midlands radio network, subscribe or donate, do what you can. So thank you. Even when my guests plug it, that's great.
I mean, you got to, right? It's what it's all about, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's important stuff.
So, what is your ultimate hope? And we'll end on this, I think. Here is, what are you striving to improve or become or like do in the paranormal? You know, you keep doing the investigations, but like where do you want to go with it?
I want to go wherever the evidence takes me. I want to eventually, my end game, honest to God, is just me finding evidence and being able to contribute to something that we really know nothing about. We know so little. You know, I want to be a part of that, to say that I did something to help people out, to help find solutions. You know, that's kind of my thing.
One question I have to ask the paranormal investigators too is, you know, with EVPs and ITC equipment and all that, do you believe there'll be a day where we figure it out? We figure out how to communicate with the other side?
I'd like to think so.
I'd like to think so too.
I don't think we will. I honestly don't. I think until, you know, the broad spectrum of the human race wants to open their minds a little bit more and, you know, stop trying to choke things off because they don't get it. You know, I think it's going to be a stalemate. Some of the greatest minds in the world could be working on things that would advance this particular field, and instead they choose to ignore.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the veil is thinning, and I think more and more people are having experiences like that. More and more people are becoming believers. I think that's why it's more mainstream now than it ever was.
Oh, it definitely is more mainstream, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
But my ultimate wonder is, like, if we ever did find the way with technology, you know, you say if you had the best minds working on it, we found a way to communicate with the other side legitimately, scientifically accepted. Do you think that would be a good thing or a bad thing?
Man, who knows, right? Like, that's just it. We don't know what's on the other side, so who knows what it could be like.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, as humans, we'd have answers, so that could be a good thing. So, I mean, our curiosity would be satisfied, but curiosity killed the cat.
Right, exactly.
And if we were supposed to be doing it, we would already be doing it and wouldn't have to try so hard, so...
Yeah.
Or maybe we're supposed to struggle for a while.
Until we're mature enough to handle talking to the other side, maybe. Because I know some people aren't, myself probably included.
I actually think there's a lot to that right there. You have to go through certain steps and phases, but that's a whole other can of
worms.
To open up, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show. When the show premieres, maybe we can get you guys back on.
We're in, man.
For sure.
After it premieres and have you guys back on and talk a little more. You'll be able to talk a little bit more about it because now once the show's out. But yeah, I'd love to have you guys back on and talk about it more.
Absolutely, man. Thank you guys for having us on here. This was amazing.
Yeah, this is fun.
One more time, tell the audience your website.
www.truenorthparanormal.com.
Awesome, guys. Go check it out. True North Paranormal, soon to be on a TV network, correct?
That's right.
Soon to be on a TV network. When that information comes out, I will be sure to share it on my page for the audience to know where to find your show. Thank you guys so much. Guys, thank everybody who shares the show out. Again, sad today to learn of former guest William White Crow's passing. Again, really sad about that. But love you guys coming to the show every week. Keep sharing out. Tell your friends. This is a paranormal support group in a way. We all get to chat. I have the best chat room in the world. Invite your friends. Make that chat more inclusive. Bring more people in. Join Paranormal Soup. Check us out every Sunday night, 10 p.m. to midnight Central Time, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern on Midwest Paranormal Presents, Paranormal Soup's Facebook page. Check us out on Late Night in the Midlands, RadioNetwork.com. We have a chat room there as well. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show again. John and Karina, you were awesome. Definitely have to get you back on. And next Sunday, we will be back. It's been a long time, but we will have an ITC Collective show, open lines. I don't know if we'll have a special guest or not. I haven't really talked to anybody about being on. I don't think about being on the ITC show, but maybe, who knows, we might have a special guest come on for it. If anything, it will be open lines and spirits coming to talk to you. Call in and see if the spirits will talk to you. All right, guys, see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Have a great night.